Well, welcome, guys, and again, thank you so much for coming online tonight. Tonight we have got a very, very special guest speaker. This lady has, look, I'm telling you, the amount of knowledge that I've just ascertained out of her in the few conversations we've had is absolutely insane. But let me tell you about Ann Dorthe, who she actually is and why she is qualified to be your speaker tonight, why she's qualified to be on this call tonight and share this great information. First up, okay, she's a health coach. That's critical when you're dealing with balanced oils and the test and you're going to explain it. Proof defeats doubt if you can use the technology and share the information that other people are telling you about it. She is a holistic nutritionist and also a female entrepreneur. Now, that's important because some people go, well, that's lucky. She can be an entrepreneur, but this lady does it with 4 children. And I'm going to assume she's married, so she's got a 5th child as well. So she's actually got 5. All right. So, but she has 4 beautiful boys. Okay. She's an Olympic and world champion in handball. Okay. Now, guys, again, I take my hat off to any champion in the sporting fraternity because they have to train so hard to get to world level, to get to that level of where the expertise meets all the work that you've done over the years of knowledge to get to that world championship level. She is on a mission right now, which is what I love about this incredible lady, okay? She's on a mission today to help people stay healthy and find their balance in life. Ann Dorthe, I thank you so much for coming onto the Australian conference call and sharing your knowledge with our group of people here in Australia and, in fact, the world that's listening in on this call. Thank you so much, Ann. Have a great time.
Thank you so much, Rob. I'm really, really excited and happy to be with you all. It's daytime here in Europe, so it's still hot and everything. I don't know the weather exactly in Australia, but I hope you're all having a great time. So let's get right into it. Just a second, this is not working. So what we will discuss today. First of all, I want to go through a few health challenges that we have worldwide. I'm going to be looking also at a few things that you have in Australia. Chronic inflammation and the food we eat. The foundation for health, which is, of course, our cells. Fatty acids and how they impact your health. Why measure them, and what to measure. And we're going to talk about here the Sensino Balance Test, how I use it. And then also, of course, a little bit about the balance oil, why it works. And then I'm going to go a little bit into athletes, which is my domain, I think. And then we're going to talk about personalized nutrition and also an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So first of all, I think we all know that science and technology are developing at one of the fastest rates in human history. We know more about nutrition and wellness than ever before. So why are our health challenges still increasing? First, I'm going to talk a little bit about Australia. I found this online and it corresponds totally fine with what we see all over the globe. You're not special, you're not something different, you are exactly like everybody else. So, more or less half of you had one or more chronic conditions, and this has been an increase with more than 5% since over the past 10 years. And most of these chronic decisions, the 10 biggest ones, you can see here below. I think most of these, we won't say we can cure anything, but most of these we can actually help with our concept in the balance concept. So, as I said, it's not just in Australia. So the WHO is saying that the healthcare challenge of the 21st century is actually chronic diseases. And the 5 major reasons are, you see here below: unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, tobacco use, stress, environmental toxins, pollutants. Tonight, I'm mostly going to talk about unhealthy diet, which is where my domain is. This is what I'm trained to talk about. So let's dive into this. If you have seen Dr. Paul Clayton, you might have seen this because he's using it. So this is a schematic of how much ultra-processed foods we're actually eating around the world. His findings are that when we succeed, when we get to 50% above our daily food intake is ultra processed, that community will actually start declining. So we will see a lifespan that will be lower, like decreasing. So what is ultra processed foods? I put a ring around it here in the right corner, and it's more or less it's everything that's in a package. So what happens here is that if you go into the supermarket and most of what you bring into your cart is going to be in a package, it's not going to be healthy for you. So what does that actually mean? Like, why is this not healthy? It's made for us. So why would companies make something that is unhealthy? I would start with saying you are what you eat. I think we all have heard this, but there are two more things to this. You also are what you digest, and most of all, you are what you absorb. Every food you eat has some type of information to your body. Either it's going to be anti-inflammatory for it, or it's going to be pro-inflammatory. So why would you listen to me? So Rob, he was so nice and had already introduced me. I think what he didn't mention was that I actually live today an active lifestyle with chronic disease, because as most athletes on top levels, when we finish, we over time will have wear and tear a little bit more than most people. So I have really bad knees and shoulders today. And I have to say that using the Sensino Balance Oil has helped me tremendously. So I will tell you a little bit more about this later. So on the outside, if you look at this house, it all looks great. But at the bottom, it might not seem so great. This is an analogy that I actually taken from another health coach in Sensino. I thought it was amazingly strong. So what actually is happening inside of you? Do you know? So all seems great, but do you know how you look on the inside? On the right side, you see a cell. And if you can see the left corner down below on the cell membrane, if you can see that it doesn't look so nice, it's because it is inflamed. And this is also the same as if your foundation for your house starts to crack. The same happens in your cell membrane. If your cell membrane gets unhealthy, you're in trouble. So let's look about unhealthy and healthy cells. What does this mean? So on the left, you have an unhealthy cell. On the right, you have a healthy cell. Every cell in your body, you have trillions of these, you actually have a cell membrane. And that cell membrane consists of mostly fatty acids. If you don't have the right balance between these fatty acids, it's going to be a problem, because as you can see in an unhealthy cell, we create inflammation. So the cell membrane becomes hard and rigid. Only some waste products can come in and out, and only some nutrients can come in and out. So you can see this cell can maybe slow down, might not be as healthy for the body. And you have to remember that you consist of cells. You are nothing but cells that has decided to work together. But if the communication between your cells is not optimal, your body doesn't function optimal. So 3 main things that causes cell membrane to get inflamed are sugar, toxins, and then a high omega-6 free balance. If you look at the right, you have lifespans of cells. And it is very different from where you have your cells. All the cells are different in your body, but they all have the cell membrane. Some of them live for a very long time, like the liver cells or your bones. But you can have also the colon cells. They will only have 3 to 4 days because they're in such a hostile environment. They need to change over all the time. What is important to see, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, are the red blood cells. They have a lifespan of 120 days. This is important you remember this as we go forward. So inflammation in our bodies is kind of a self-defense mechanism. It is good when we have a problem. When we get sick, we need inflammation. But we also need to stop inflammation. And that's where we're talking about omega-6 and omega-3. So in general, omega-6 helps the body to create inflammation, and omega-3s are the ones that lower inflammation. So when we have too many omega-6s from the food we eat, which is mainly what is in the boxes that also have a lot of omega-6 in them, vegetable oils is like the biggest here. So we create chronic inflammation when we have too many 6s because we have so much of the components that creates inflammation compared to what we have with omega-3, that is the one that lowers inflammation. Omega-3s, the right ones you typically get from fish. So if you compare how much fish or algae you eat compared to how much you eat from a box, that might not be so good. So this is one of the major problems in chronic diseases. As you can see, the chronic inflammation is driver of chronic lifestyle diseases. So how do we know this? Why is it so important? So Simopolis has, for like 20, 30 years ago, has talked about this. If you eat an ordinary supermarket food and you don't take any supplements, you will be, in Europe at least, 12-1, meaning you have 6 times more omega-6 than 3. But if you look at what would be favorable against the different kinds of diseases, you actually see you have to be much lower. And here, even WHO has said that you have to be below 4-1. So if you look at these, and we know that most of the people in our society, in Western society today, has more than around 12-1, we see how much that actually will create chronic disease. This is numbers that we have from a lot of the tests we have done in Europe. So if you look at the left, you can see we have age groups. And what is so disturbing to me is that look at the young ones, look at our children. They have the worst balances at all. So that's our fault because they don't like go to the supermarket and choose. We choose for them. So this is one of my big like horses. I really want to change this because I think it's terrible. I have to say, when I tested my kids, they were 8-1, which was not so bad, but still not good. So we are actually here defined, our genes are defined to have this balance 1-1, 2-1. And we're also supposed to have a level of omega-3 in our bodies that is 8%. But a typical supermarket diet won't give you those numbers. They will give you numbers above 12-1, and also omega-3 levels that are below 4, which is not so good for your overall health and for your long-term health. So what is an omega-3 level? It is the total amount of EPA and DHA that you have in your cell membrane. And actually, recent research suggests that measuring this level could be more important to predict your risk of heart disease than your cholesterol levels. Phew. And they say that we need to have this level above 8 to be safe. And also this study that is Framingham Heart Study has been going on for years now. I think it started in 1946, where they are trying to figure out about heart diseases. They have found that people with the highest omega-3 levels were most protected against any cause for disease, not just heart disease. So this omega-3 level has a high impact on your health. So this is a short Snapchat, a little short picture of how it actually looks in the world if you look at your omega-3 levels. And you can see on the very right, you have Australia, meaning that you have low levels, in general, 4-6%. So you're not protected as they actually suggest that you should be. So what you measure, you can improve. This is something that I have learned and I have always lived by, because from athletics, from sports, you know that if you don't measure, you cannot improve because you actually don't know what is wrong. And also, I think is really important here is that when you have a number, you want to improve it. I think that's human nature. So in Cincino, we have a balance test. I already talked a little bit about it. And these results that we have from this testing is that 98% of the Australians are in the danger zone. And what we see from these testings is that in balance of omega-6 and 3, we talked about this, low levels of omega-3 overall, and then you don't have enough polyphenols in your diet. And also we have low levels of vitamin D3. So as of August, as of this month, we have performed almost 350,000 tests. And what we see is that only 2% of you guys are actually in the ratio of 3 to 1. It's not very many. In the States, it's only 1. In Europe, we're a little bit better, it's 5%. What we also see is that 13% of the people that take an omega-3 supplement has an average balance of 13 to 1. Not a little bit better, but still not good. But 85%, that's crazy. You have an average ratio of 21 to 1. I mean, you have 20 times more components in the body that create inflammation. How will you ever get your diet to be anti-inflammatory if you don't do anything? So all these tests are done by VTest, a Norwegian lab that is independent, the GPMA certified. They do tests for lots and lots and lots of other people. What they have found is that after the second test, because we do 2 tests, because we do one before we start taking the product and after 120 days, because as you remember, the red blood cells have a lifespan of 120 days. And we measure on the cell membrane of these red blood cells, meaning that there is a whole picture of what you have been eating and what your cells have been absorbing for the past 120 days. So it's kind of a food test. It tells you a little bit about what you're eating and how you're eating and how you are absorbing the food you're eating. So what they have found is that 95% after 120 days using our product can actually get back into balance. I don't know where you find other products with that success rate. I haven't seen them. So the Syncino balance test is easily said it's a food test. It actually tells you, as I said before, what you've been eating for the past 120 days. Not specifically, but let's say that as a health coach and practitioner, you can definitely look into this and have a lot of information about your clients. So what is it? It's a simple dry blood spot test, and it can be done in the comfort of your home. You don't have to go and have blood taken out or anything. It's very easy. As I said before, it gives you a baseline from which you can improve your nutritional status. In this case, the intake of fatty acids, because it also shows you a little bit about other fatty acids, not just omega-6 and 3. We talk about saturated fat, and we also talk about omega-9. So the Syncino balance test will actually show you whether your diet or your supplements are keeping your inflammation under control, or if not. So, do you know if your diet is truly delivering the nutrients that you need to keep you healthy? Is your diet pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory? I thought I was really good, but I'll show you later what I was. So, an optimal omega-6-3 balance in the cell membrane is to your cell health what calcium is to your bones. It's fundamental for your health that your cell membrane has the right balance of these omegas. So why balance oil works and why it's different. And I think Henrik Schulz, our product manager, has actually had an amazing presentation about the balance oil. So I don't want to go into specific details about the oil and everything. And I think we maybe need to talk a little bit more about the benefits. But one thing I want to really stress here is why this can actually get, as you saw, 95% of the users into balance after only 120 days, whereas most other products cannot do that. And it's for one simple reason, that we have added polyphenols. And you're like, polyphenols, what is that? Well, polyphenols are antioxidants that if you look for omega-3 in the nature, you don't find omega-3 in the nature without polyphenols. But when we make a fish oil, omega-3, we take everything out because we don't want it to smell or taste badly. So everything is taken out. And we forget to put those polyphenols back in because they have several actions that they help the omega-3s. They help them to not oxidize, and they also is kind of the vehicle that brings the omega-3 to the cell and makes sure it goes into the cell. So it has different ways that it helps the omega-3. So important. And that's what we have done in Enzino. We have added the polyphenols back in, and we have found these polyphenols in olives. So this is why this works. And of course, we have all the certifications and everything that we need for our fish, for our balance oil. So here is also what Henrik was talking about. And what is important here is that it is, of course, a test-based nutrition system that we have, but it's also individual because we don't need the same amounts. I'm going to talk about that later too. But we actually give you the amount based on your body weight. So 0.15 milliliters per kilo is what we need. Some need a little bit more, some need maybe a little bit less. I'm going to tell you about this later. So we don't have just an omega-3. We have a balance oil. We have an oil, a balance oil, that balances your omega-6 with 3, just like the fish, if you were eating enough fish. So does your omega-3 supplement work, or are you wasting your money? I would suggest that you take the balance test to find out. This is the balance oil with the test. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why I work with the Enzino Health Balance Protocol. Here in Europe, we have a little bit more products, but I'm going to talk to you about, and I started actually on the balance oil, so I can easily talk to you about this. I would say, bottom line, it's because it works. I've seen it. I will admit, I was skeptical. As a health coach and nutritionist, you know that you shouldn't get married to one product. But the amounts of results I have seen is just outstanding. So proof defeats doubts. And I don't feel I'm working in the blind. When I have a client that takes the balance test, I can see how much and how well they're eating and if their diet is anti-inflammatory or pro-inflammatory. It's test-based, personalized nutrition. The products are backed by science, which is hugely important to me. And then again, I've seen hundreds of people get into balance and heard countless of stories how it has changed their lives for the better, including myself and my family. Very short, my personal first, second, and third test. My first test was 19-1. I was in shock. My second test was 3-1, and my third test was then 2.8-1. On the right side, you actually see my omega level. And as you see, after a year, which the third test is taken after, I took after a year, is only 6.4. And my family was perfect in balance after 4 months. I wasn't. And I still struggle. I have to have more. So some people actually request more than others. Again, just to let you understand, to make you understand that the two most important omega-3 values that we measure and that you should be measuring on a regular basis for long-term health are your omega-3 level and your omega-6-3 balance. So my number one strategy when I have clients is to get them on balance oil. They need to reduce chronic inflammation. I mean, who doesn't? It's not just my clients. It's, as you saw, 85% of Australians plus the 13 that were not in balance. So that's huge numbers. And it's the easiest and fastest way to lower chronic inflammation in your body, and used with an anti-inflammatory diet and active lifestyles, it's unbeatable. I've seen it over and over again. So proof defeats doubts. Again, I doubted it. I didn't actually think that I would know. I thought I knew better. So why would I take the balance test? Why would I take the balance oil? When I saw my test results, I was like, okay, proof defeats doubts. No doubt about it. So a little bit about athletes and balance oil. What you see here is a study that has been done by Enzino with Lillestrøm Sportsklubb. It's a Norwegian team. And what they found was amazing. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, I need to test these things. So what they found was that they started out on an average omega-6-3 balance, 12-1. After 120 days, it fell down to around 3-1. But what really is amazing and struck so much was that the illness over the season fell by 85%. Do you know what that means when you're an athlete or any person? But as an athlete in a team, that actually means that they had 42 days extra per month to be together. because also the absence due to injury fell by 57%. That team must have won. I actually don't know, but that's amazing. You can read more about this study, as you can see here below. So I have, oh, I can see I made a mistake. So these are reported benefits from athletes, not clients. So energy level comes up, night cramps go away, faster recovery after training and injury, meaning that muscle soreness actually is lowered. I don't know how many of you have tried to be on a training camp. The third day of that training camp is where nobody wants to wake up and get out of bed. And I have countless reports back that that day is still hard, but it's not as hard. So you can actually train more and longer when you are in balance. Pretty awesome, right? It has huge improvements in joint stiffness and pain, and I am one of those. I have a really bad knee, and I can tell you that since I've been using the balance oil, my joint stiffness and how often my knee will swell is not as much as before. So I have a totally different active lifestyle today. Muscle tightness goes away, less sugar cravings, chronic pain reduced, and also a stronger immune system. I'm working a lot with triathletes and cyclists, and a lot of those people, those athletes, they have upper respiratory problems. Very often they get sick. And this is something that they have all reported back, that seems to not go away, but not coming as often as before. So that also is something. Getting into balance actually means that you get less sick, also as an athlete. You have a general greater well-being, improvements in sleep patterns, which is huge for athletes. And then another thing that I was a little bit surprised about, but when you know how much omega-3 you actually have in your brain, so maybe not so surprised, better mood and control of emotions. So these are the clients. And some of these are the same, but of course we have different things. And I can talk to you about also things that are even more like miraculous, but I won't. I mean, I think these are enough. I think for any person to have and feel just a greater well-being in general is just amazing. I have so many people coming to me and saying, I didn't really have anything. I didn't feel anything, but I didn't know I could feel like this. So they feel so much better when they are on the oil and getting into balance. And some people even say like, this has disappeared. I didn't even think it could disappear. So we have to remember that we don't have to like have tear and wear and get really bad with age. We should live happy and healthy into our old age. Most of us do not. And balance oil and the whole concept in Cincino can actually help us to stay healthier and more active for longer, because we address many of these issues. So my question is, are you in control of your health? Or I think it's time to take action. So find your number. As I said before, what we measure, we can improve. If you don't know, how will you ever improve? I mean, my test, I thought I was healthy. I'm a health coach. I'm a nutritionist. My number was 19-1. I didn't know. Now I know, and I'm testing myself and my family every year. Because another thing I realized is that my kids are growing. And because we actually personalized this product, the balance oil, when they were growing, I didn't give them more. So in a year, they had grown, and I had been giving them the same amount. And they were not in balance anymore. So I was like, oops, I need to pay attention. So just understand this. It's important that you actually know your numbers. So you take the test, you start using the Cincino product, the balance oil, and then you review your test, and then 4 months later, you actually retest to see what has happened with yourself. And just to make you understand this also, of course, we have a money-back guarantee. If you're already in balance, you don't need our product. So you will, of course, have your money back. So I want you to leave with this. If you don't pay attention to your health now, someday your health will get your attention. So think prevention. Remember, food is information for your body. And are you eating an anti-inflammatory diet? If not, today's the day to start. That was all, Rob.
Fantastic, Anne. I really appreciate you. And guys, let's just think about some of those key things that you spoke about, okay? And, you know, you spoke about the energy levels being up. I hear this every day. And, you know, we've only been alive here in Australia for about 4 months, okay? Just over 120 days. But we're now getting the feedback from that group of people that actually took the test back 120 days ago, have now had their cells regenerate 120 days later, and the results have been outstanding. And they're all talking about their energy level, you know, those cramps in their legs that they might have from not having enough, you know, sort of movement in their cell systems, faster recovery, okay? You know, if they are doing some exercise of some type, their joint pains, memory clearance, okay? All those little things that you spoke about that we take for granted that are old age diseases or old age issues just seem to disappear. And like you said, we don't need to be in pain as we age as a person. And that's what this incredible product is doing, okay? When I see the inflammatory results that are happening by people consuming the products, it's just been outstanding. So, guys, I just want to say again, Anne Dorthe, thank you so much for coming online. We would love to dearly. I've had a number of people messaging me saying, can we bring this lady to Australia? Okay, so watch out. You might get an invitation to bring you and your family to Australia to come around Australia and speak at every capital city with us. So I hope Australia is on your dream board. Okay, have you ever been to Australia?
Yes, I have.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we would love to host you back here one time in the near future. But again, we would dearly love to have you back on one of our Zoom calls in the next month or so, just to keep on going on this data that you've got and sharing with the sporting people online, the people that just want to get better health as well that are online. And guys, let's say thank you so much, Anne, and really, truly appreciate you. And we will see you real soon as we travel the world together.
Thank you.
Thank you and appreciate you. Bye.